Howdy everybody. We're back here in this same area where I was doing the broad forking last video, and the reason we were doing that broad forking was so that we can plant a special kind of grass called Napier grass. Now, Napier grass comes from Africa. It's a very tall grass and it's like a bamboo type of grass. They call it elephant grass is another word they use for it. Now there's many different varieties of Napier grass, but the one that we're going to be doing is called Mar alfalfa. We have another variety here on the farm, which I'm going to show you now. Now this is a small patch here of Napier grass we've been growing. This is a variety called Cameroon that has a purple stem, and you can see it has like a purple line going down here down the. As you know, we're in a very bad drought here, and so this grass is struggling. I've been giving it some water, but it's going to do okay. Now, I want to emphasize that pretty much every locale that you go to is going to have their own name for this. They're going to have their own variety of it, but it's all Napier grass. Now, Napier grass is a C4 grass as opposed to a C3 grass. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the biochemistry of what's the difference between those two. The main thing that you need to keep in mind is that C4 plants are better adapted to drought-like conditions, to low moisture conditions. They use a different photosynthetic pathway that allows them to conserve water better than the C3 plants. Most of the plants that you eat are C3. But a lot of grains like sorghum are C4, particularly ones that come from Africa. And this grass comes from Africa. It also improves the soil because it has an extensive root system. A lot of grass doesn't have that much of a root system. It's very shallow. This goes deeper and more extensive. That allows more interaction with bacteria in the soil and fungi in the soil and other things like that, which ultimately improves the soil. We're not going to allow this grass, by the way, to grow 3 meters tall. We're going to cut it before it gets that high because our sheep won't eat it. The stem will become lignified, but every time we cut it, some of the roots down below die off in response, and then as it grows up more, the roots expand again, and you cut it, and so you're constantly putting more organic matter in the soil that way, and that's a good thing. So here is an example of a stem of the Napier grass. Now I've had this in water. You can see that there's little roots coming out of this node. This doesn't really produce seed, and the seed that it does produce doesn't particularly grow very well, but the way that we propagate this is through the stem. And the plant itself propagates mostly through what are called stolons. There's two types of climbing grass situation. One is what the Bermuda grass uses, which are called runners. And they go on the top of the ground and they stick a little root down every place that there's a node in the Bermuda grass. This does the same thing. It's basically a runner. A stolon is basically a runner, but it's an offshoot of the root that goes horizontally underneath the ground. So we're going to fool this stem into thinking that it's a stolon so that it will grow a new plant. As I said, we have little roots coming out of there, so we've already started the process of fooling it. So I'm going to put this back for just a second, and I've developed a very good way to plant these. This is where I put the tines of the broad fork. You can see a line going right along here. So I'm going to take the shovel and I'm just going to go down, and it should go down fairly easily, and it does. Now I'm going to take this spade, only because I don't have another shovel. Otherwise I'd use another shovel. Take the spade, same thing. Now I'm going to push it forward, both of them. And you'll notice that there's a little ditch created by pushing these forward. I'm going to take the stem and I'm going to just lay it in there because we don't want it to be too deep. Lay it in there. Now I'm going to pull this shovel out. I'm going to pull the spade out. And I'm going to push the dirt on top. We're not trying to plant it deep. We don't want it to be deep. So let me show it again. I'm going right here where the tines of the broad fork were. Goes in pretty easily. Push it forward a little bit. Put the spade in here. Same thing. Push that forward. Sometimes you have to move it back and forth a little bit just to get the little ditch in there open enough. And sometimes you have to kind of clean it out. Now I'm going to get another stem. We always cut the stem with we want 3 nodes on the stem. Now this, by the way, is the way that you propagate bamboo, the same way. I'm putting it back in again, taking the spade out. Covering it over with soft soil. And that's it. So all of this has already been planted with the Napier grass. And we have a few more seeds. We'll get more. We have a source for it. They call these seeds even though they're not really seeds. And then I'm going to come in here in the middle of the rows and plant some sunflowers so that we'll get some sunflowers growing up alongside of the Napier grass. But that's for another video. And so I'm going to stop here. Please click the like button if you like the video. And thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.